What was it like to live in Dalmarnock over 50 years ago? A recently rediscovered film shows footage of the area from the mid-1960s. It offers a unique and intimate snapshot of a tightly knit community going about its business. This is Dalmarnock, a small pocket of land nestled on the banks of the River Clyde in Glasgow. You can spot Dalmarnock from above by the distinctive meander in the river. Dalmarnock got its name over 1,000 years ago, when people living in the area still spoke Gaelic. The Dal part of the place name comes from a Gaelic word meaning meadowlands, and the second part of the name is a dedication to Saint Marnock, one of the first Christian missionaries in Scotland. The River Clyde skirts past Dalmarnock to the south. Early settlers farmed the lands along the river's banks and fished its salmon. Textiles were part of the first wave of industry in the late 1700s. Dye works, print works, weaving mills and bleach works used water from the Clyde to make clothes, blankets, carpets, sacks, sails and everything in between. Dalmarnock Waterworks opened in 1806. The new works drew water from the Clyde, which was then filtered and piped to reservoirs across the city. It was a huge step forward in public health. Now people had clean, safe drinking water from Dalmarnock to tap. William Arrol's Dalmarnock Ironworks arrived in 1872 and eventually employed over 2,000 people in the area. It specialised in bridge construction and built crossings for rivers in every corner of the globe. This was a place that made things, goods that were exported across the world. The industrial era turned this small, sleepy corner of the city into a bustling, thriving community. By the 1960s, the population had risen to over 30,000 souls. Shops, pubs, schools, churches, and canyons of tenements lined the streets. Tam McCann is a local historian. Along with friends, he runs the Parkhead History website, a site dedicated to the social history and heritage of the East End. It was through Tam that we first discovered the archive film.
And one of the girls that helps us gave me a tape that she had got from someone. This tape was of the church which was here at one time. We couldn't really trace where the tape actually came from. The tape lay in my house for years until one time I met Ingrid and I showed Ingrid the tape. In the tape, it's amazing seeing how much Dalmarnock's changed. The place was really busy then. You had community centres, you had a chapel, you had a church, and the whole social history of the place was all centred around these places. It's just sad to see Dalmarnock now as to when it was then. It was just a really busy hub. We think it was Gordon Strachan, the minister, who made the film. It was great to see people from the church. Obviously the film was made on a Sunday and people were at church, and it was great to see that people got dressed up for church. People made an effort for something special in these days.
Following a little detective work, we discovered that the film was made by the Reverend Gordon Strachan and two of his parishioners, Jim Mackay and Jim Brown. Gordon was minister at Dalmarnock Parish Church on Springfield Road. He was a Wheel Kent face in the area and threw himself into parish life. Gordon passed away in 2010, but his wife Elspeth very kindly shared her memories of him and his time in Dalmarnock.
I was just so delighted to see Dalmarnock. I mean, I had gone back with Gordon. I didn't know Gordon at the time, you see. We married in 79. So what surprised me was to be let into his life at that age. You have the tenements looking really very smart on the one hand, and then you have this building on the other. And I think people were very excited about going into these high-rise flats at the time. As I say, they also were sorry that they were losing their houses, but some of the houses were falling apart. So I think there was, in the 60s, a sense of hope. I think Dalmarnock had a tremendous sense of belonging anyway. I think Gordon entered into that community because he loved what he found. He found people who loved each other and who knew each other, who joked all the time, and were in and out each other's homes, knew each other really well. So he got to know the locals. I mean, he was out on the streets, and he's this great tall 6'5" guy always with his dog collar, I think, and people just thought he was hilarious. I think. He talked a lot about how people drew him to their hearts, and in that film you see him going into people's homes and kind of laughing, aren't they? They're sort of laughing about this is a bit funny because clearly they're being filmed and they think it's all a bit funny, but I think that was the relationship. I think he said he nearly died from over a consumption of tea and cake and he couldn't not take it. But it was constant, and I think he was a visitor. I mean, he did go and see people in their homes, and he got to know their lives really well. And so he put a huge bit of hardboard down on the floor, and he had very little money, so he got house paint, and he just threw it onto the board. It was Gordon's passion. This is how he kept himself going in his big manse, rattling around on his own, and he just loved to paint. And he did have an exhibition at Edinburgh Festival that year. Well, art was vital for Gordon, and by the time he was in Dalmarnock, he was painting great big huge canvases, well, hardboards actually, like 6 foot by 6 foot, cosmic sploshy type paintings, and for him they were very much part of his belief system. He believed that God was in creation. You could see God through the elements, and I think that's where drawing other people into that came in, and wanting other people to find their creativity. So for him, art was at the heart of who we are as human beings, and as a minister, it was not just the painting, but music and drama and as we discover film, that being creative was what kept him going. I think when we're trying to find out who we are, it's important to be able to know where we come from in our families and in ourselves. And when I was talking earlier about being in touch with your parents and your grandparents to get their stories, because they are part of who we are.
Gordon and his friends captured Dalmarnock on the cusp of change, the first of several for the area. In 2021, Glasgow Building Preservation Trust worked with a group of primary 6 and 7 children from Riverbank Primary School. The new school opened in 2019 to serve the growing community around the former Athletes' Village, a legacy of the 2014 Commonwealth Games. We watched the archive film with the children and asked them how they thought Dalmarnock has changed since the 1960s.
It's just really different because when you're looking at the video and then you're like, this is nothing what it is now. It doesn't even look like this is barely anything now.
It's really interesting about the olden days because there used to be a lot of houses and stuff, but now I think it's a lot different because they've put most of the things down.
That's kind of blurry.
Yeah, blurry.
Back then the community was very connected compared to now. It's not a very crowded place anymore in popular places.
In the movie, the roads and the street was more busier than now. Cars don't look as powerful and fast as our cars, and they don't look as like cool and all that. Like, we have Lamborghinis and all that now. They just have like Renaults.
Because like now, people don't go around like to the church, say hi to each other every morning, and like go for a walk. Here's more. They're all like isolated and they stay home.
Yeah, the Legacy Hub is still there. I think. Yeah, it's still there, and they're doing like loads. Like the last time they were doing like loads of clubs like in there, and I think they're still doing it. I don't know.
Where's that?
Like, the Legacy Hub. Yeah. Yes, up there. A lot of new houses were built, so a lot of new people got like new houses, just like me and Neil here. So we got like, they've built a new community around this area, so yeah, but they've also ruined the community.
Yeah, it's changed quite a lot because there's like, I don't know if there might be more like shops around here, so it might have been a lot more busier, but it's just kind of, I don't really know, it's just a bit emptier now.
The 2014 Commonwealth Games brought with it one of the biggest regeneration programmes in UK history. Authorities promised over 1,400 new houses, new jobs, a velodrome and sports arena, new roads and bridges and a new park, new Dalmarnock. But all this meant sweeping away most of the old Dalmarnock, and that included many of the residents as well as the buildings. The Adventure Playground at Baltic Street is one of the few amenities available for local children, and it forms a critical lifeline for the wider community. We're at Baltic Street Adventure Playground this morning in the heart of Dalmarnock. I'm here with Alistair, who's going to tell us a little bit about how it all got started.
I'm a play worker at Baltic Street Adventure Playground. The whole spirit of Baltic Street Adventure Playground is it belongs to the children. And it's a place for them to come and express themselves in a way that they want, to run, climb, jump, to risk assess for themselves, to identify hazards and risks that they're prepared to take in relation to that. So behind us here you see that we have the polytunnel, and we have raised beds which we re-established maybe about 3-4 years ago. We bring on tomatoes and there's peppers and chillies and all sorts of things in the polytunnel. We also have our own chickens and ducks where we get the eggs from them, and we've got guinea pigs and rabbits, but they're not for food. They're not for food. But it gives the kids, you know, an opportunity to become involved in the project and take ownership. So rather than saying to kids, right, you're going to do gardening, or you're going to tend the animals, they can choose what they want to get involved in and what stimulates them. When the Commonwealth Games came here, as you can see, you know, every facility, people's homes, all the shops, the playground, community centre, the doctors, dentists, everything went. And local people were promised there'll be regeneration, you'll get this, new facilities, whatever. Unfortunately, the legacy is there wasn't a legacy. A lot of that anger, I think, is now, it's accepted rather than, you know, you've ripped the heart out of our community. And I now see the green shoots of a community rebuilding, but it can't just be housing alone. There has to be other infrastructure that goes with that. It's It has evolved so much. If you consider this was intended to be a pop-up project after the Commonwealth Games, it wasn't intended to last any more than a year. And here we are now, 7, nearly 8 years on, and it just grows and changes, and every day is completely different.
Baltic Street and Riverbank Primary are places that carefully nurture the fragile green shoots of a community emerging after great upheaval. In creative workshops, the pupils shared their hopes and aspirations for the future.
I hope in the future in Dalmarnock there's a lot more shops for the community because there isn't really a lot right now. Maybe like a garden centre or something. Just something to make the area look nicer.
This butterfly, looking after places and moments. This butterfly will make big changes.
In the future, these houses could have like elevators instead of stairs, or like electric stairs where it would come out of the walls and like if you pressed a button. I would want more like open football places we can go to instead of trying to climb and like fall and hurt ourselves.
Recycling centre, because I don't see many of those.
You can maybe add a bit more bins.
Yeah, because people just like throw their trash out.
More trees and more plants.
A playground would be good.
My flag as a silent red white butterfly.
That makes no noise.
Yet people see it as a sign of hope.
More houses for the poor people so then they can have a house as well and enjoy their house. More homeless shelters.
COVID-19 will be over and we won't have to worry about the pandemic and the coronavirus. And we could just go outside and play all day.
Red and white, white and red. This butterfly, looking after places and moments. This butterfly will make big changes. It will transform spaces into new places and new moments. The silent red and white butterfly will rise.
Future is future, past is past. Time goes by a bit too fast. Dalmarnock will be the king of our future. We will tell you all the stats. Free food, too good, it will make you fat. Free house, free shelter, it will make you feel better.